Welcome to Intuitive Healing for another episode of Astrology University 111. This is a creative space where we dissect the psychology of astrology and learn how to make astrology a lifestyle. As a person who has studied and worked in the psychology and mental health field for almost 20 years and who's now working as an astrologer, I like to test my theories about astrology with real people.
Feel free to leave your comments in a box below. I love hearing what you think, but in the meantime, go ahead and grab a snack, get cozy, get comfortable. First, let's talk about the zodiac signs who make automatic BFFs in the world of astrology.
A soulmate doesn't just have to be somebody you have a romantic relationship with. Sometimes a soulmate can be a best friend. Let's go through them. Number 1, Cancer and Pisces. Those two understand each other on a deep emotional level. They have a lot of respect for one another's sensitivities. They pay attention to the little things with each other. They can trust each other with their hearts, and they can create a safe space in the relationship where they can share intimate information with one another, be emotionally vulnerable with one another, trust each other to hold space for one another in that way, and really care for each other deeply. Number 2, Virgo and Taurus. Those two are my working girls. They give each other good life advice. They keep each other grounded. They pump each other up, encourage each other to go after their goals. They're very practical about the important things in life, but they're also very focused. So these are the girls that are like motivating each other to get to the top of their career goals. And they do that with a lot of like self-respect and a lot of decorum and just a lot of pride. You know, I love those two together in the way that they keep each other grounded. Number 3, Capricorn and Scorpio. We always say that Capricorn and Scorpio are like the evil twin sisters is because they're so much alike. They're just as traumatized as one another, but they've like come out of it in the best possible way. They think a lot alike. They're both very pessimistic. They're dark. They're shrewd, but they're also very smart and they can read through the bullshit like nobody else's business. So those two together is like a perfect combo. And what I love most is that Scorpio is probably one of the few people that Capricorn can fully trust because they're both value secrecy and they're both value loyalty. These two know what loyalty really means. Aquarius and Sagittarius are next. Those two are automatic best friends. When they see each other, the energy is always right. One sparks the other's flames. You know, air, fire is perfect together. They're both super smart, super analytical. They both love deep intellectual conversations. So it's just ready-made. Leo and Gemini love having fun together. They love laughing together. They love sharing gossip together. Even though at first you might be like, but once they really connect, it's like a deep, intimate bond that's built around just having a good time and feeling good. And lastly, Aries and Sagittarius. When these two are together, the energy never ends. They're just ready to go at any time for anything. They're down for whatever, wherever, the adventure, the drive. It's just like out of this world. Just so much fun on the horizon. And they just get each other's energies. It's beautiful.
Now, on to zodiac signs who are hunted by low vibrational spirits seeking to siphon their energy.
This message has been on my heart for a while because it's been showing up a lot in my readings lately. So I just want to come on here and share it with you guys for whoever needs to hear this, okay? Do not let anybody trick you out of your position in life, okay? I'm a kid that grew up in the 90s listening to hip-hop. I listen to a lot of hip-hop music because there's a lot of wisdom in hip-hop if you listen to the lyrics. There's a song that Jay-Z wrote when Drake was first coming up as an artist on the scene, right? So it's a feature with Drake and Jay-Z where Jay-Z is basically giving him advice, and he tells them, you know, one of the things that rappers are going to do is when you start getting a lot of fame, you start getting a lot of money, they're going to start petty beefs with you, fake beefs with you to distract you from your purpose so that instead of focusing on your craft and you performing and you making money, now you're giving them attention. And then secondly, it also serves the purpose of giving them the attention that they wish that they had. So a lot of times when people are envious of you or they're jealous of you, they'll start drama with you to basically have you feed their energy, because they're in darkness, they're in starvation, they're in fear mode, they're sad, they're unhappy, they're miserable. They see you're happy, you're joyful, you're glowing. They want to take that away from you. So the best way to do that is to throw their negative energy your way so you can carry some of that negativity for them in your gut, and then they can walk away with some of the positive energy that you have for yourself. You see how that works? Everything is about energy exchange. Everything is energy, okay? So if I have a deprivation of energy, I go to you who has a lot and I take yours and I replenish my bucket. So don't ever let anyone take you off your throne. Don't ever let anyone take you off your throne. They do not deserve it. They are not worth it. If God intended for them to have what you have, he would have, or she would have, or they would have given it to them, okay? What is yours, and nobody can take it away from you. You yourself can't even take it away from you. So you don't have to worry about that. But it is your responsibility to protect yourself from people that seek to exchange energy with you, with the intent of them taking your good juice and giving you their crappy energy. Here's the kicker though. Sometimes that person that is trying to trick you out of your position in life is yourself. When you're dealing with a lot of insecurities, you're dealing with a lot of low self-esteem, you can literally self-sabotage your life, sabotage your relationship, sabotage your situations, because fundamentally you don't believe you deserve it. This is why I'm such a huge proponent of self-love, because even when I worked as a therapist, I never met anyone whose mental health problem did not go back to low self-esteem. How we feel about ourselves completely dictates and controls our reality. So, love yourself enough to want the best for yourself.
Next, let's talk about zodiac signs who exhibit the most narcissistic traits out of the entire zodiac.
Of this video. Starting with the bonus one, which is Pisces. Pisces is most likely to be a vulnerable narcissist, or another word for it is a covert narcissist. Pisces is harder to identify as a narcissist because they're very introverted, they have a lot of anxiety, and they live with a lot of shame. But at their core, the way that they function, the way they think about the world, and the way they behave is just like the other more boastful narcissists that people think about. They think of someone that's loud, that has a big personality, that's really over the top, but they're not all that way. Some of them are more vulnerable and covert, and Pisces fits that bill. Starting with number 7, Aquarius. Aquarius has a grandiose sense of self-importance and a belief that they're inherently special. Number 6, Taurus. They have a lack of empathy, a belief that they're somehow more special than others, a great sense of entitlement, and an obsession with power and success and fame and the very best of everything. Number 5, Leo. Leo has a grandiose sense of self-importance. They can be arrogant and they have an excessive need for admiration. Number 4, Scorpio. When Scorpio has been wounded and they no longer trust in the world and humans, they can be cold, calculating, and violent. And all of their relationships then become exploitative. So they only befriend people or associate with people because they want to use them. Scorpio also has a grandiose sense of self-importance, although they hide it more than Leo does. Number 3, Capricorn. Capricorn can be obsessed with power. Just like Taurus, they can have a complete lack of empathy for other people's suffering or what other people are going through or the harm that they're causing other people. And just like Scorpio, their relationships can also be exploitative in nature. Capricorn will throw people under the bus just so they can associate with people that can give them access to more power, more success, more whatever it is that they're after. Capricorn is willing to risk it all to get it. Number 2, Aries. Aries is arrogant. I believe that people are envious of them. Aries thinks if they want something, everybody else wants it too. No empathy. They only want to associate with people that can do things for them, people that they think they're better than. They love to compete in all of their relationships, even with their spouses and their children. They feel entitled and have a grandiose sense of self-importance. And number 1 is Virgo. Virgo inherently believes that they're the smartest person in any room that they're in. That in and of itself is problematic because that is not always true. The key is try explaining that to Virgo, especially a masculine Virgo. It will be like talking to a wall. They're so delusional about who they are and what they're capable of. just like their sister Pisces.
Contrary to popular beliefs, I think this zodiac sign is the most vengeful out of all of them. Now, here's why.
You want to know who is the most vengeful astrology zodiac sign, who keeps tabs and never forgets anything and will ensure that you get your payback? It's not Scorpio. People assume that because of Scorpio's intensity, they're the most vengeful. That is actually not true. It's Cancer. It's actually Cancer. There are a couple of reasons for that. Number one, Cancer is ruled by the moon. The moon is a very sensitive placement. The moon in astrology is all about feminine energy. It's all about the mother. This is why Cancer is considered the mother of the zodiac. There's no way anybody's going to be more sensitive than anyone with feminine energy. Number two, Cancer never forgets anything because of that. They never forget anything. They're very sensitive. That feminine energy allows them to absorb every emotion, and they have the very best memory in the entire zodiac for this reason. Scorpio also has a really good memory, but the difference is Scorpio, when you hurt them, they want to destroy you. Their goal is to enact violence and ultimately destroy you. That is what their payback looks like. Cancer, on the other end, it goes deeper than that. Not only does Cancer remember everything you've done to hurt them, they don't just want to destroy you. In fact, Cancer wants you to live long enough to wish you were dead. What Cancer wants to enact upon you is psychological warfare. They want to destroy everything inside of you and leave you so shattered into pieces that you actually wished you were dead. That is what Cancer's revenge looks like.
Next, let's get into Sagittarius, Gemini, Pisces, and Virgo. Let's talk mutable zodiac signs in astrology.
We're talking about Sagittarius, Virgo, Geminis, and Pisces. You can try lying to these signs if you want to, but I assure you, you won't get very far. Their brains are literally like computers, all of them. Mercury rules Virgos and Geminis, which is literally the planet of communication and information and sorting out details. Jupiter rules Pisces and Sagittarius, and that is literally the planet of expansion, information, global travel, and both these signs are deeply intuitive and spiritual. These are the signs that will literally play dumb just to see how dumb you really are. Because they come at the end of the season, they tend to be highly flexible. They're survivors that can thrive in any environment. They're flexible, highly adaptable, and quick learners. They're open-minded, and one thing I find very interesting about them is how intuitive they really are. It's almost like they're all a little psychic. These are the type of people that would ask you questions that they already know the answer to just to see what kind of person you are. Highly adaptable, go with the flow, just willing to learn from every experience. So they tend to pursue situations, relationships, and just people who expand their mind, expand their worldview and experiences. They have endless curiosity, they're fun to be around. Because of that, they tend to be really smart. They're highly intelligent because they process information at a very fast speed. They need a lot of mental stimulation to really be engaged. Now let's talk about the negative signs. They can be overthinkers. Sometimes having access to too much information is actually a downfall. It gets to a point where you just know too much and it's harder to actually make a decision versus if you only had like two things to choose from. They can be wishy-washy, not quite like Libra, because Libra swings from one extreme to another, but it's more like they're exploring every option. So today they might be on this option and tomorrow they're on the next option. They can be easily influenced because they're so open-minded and can come off as being just restless, just constantly pursuing new things, wanting to know what's next. They're slow to make a decision. They have a hard time committing and sticking to a plan, which can really hinder their growth sometimes, their inability to see things through. And lastly, they have no problems dropping you off at the bus stop the minute you're no longer helpful to them. So they're very much so about preserving relationships that serve them.
Having fun so far? Remember to hit that subscribe button for another episode next week. And just in case you missed last week's episode, here's a snippet of it. I got a chance to chat with the mom about what it's like raising a Taurus and Cancer child. Play along with us for a chance to win prizes.
Here's today's pop quiz. To enter in the giveaway today, all you have to do is head over to Instagram at Intuitive Healing with an N. When you get there, it's going to look something like this. You might recognize my face and some of our colors. I want you to look for this post right here. This exact picture is going to have a quiz. It's a matching quiz. There are 12 statements. Each of them belong to a specific zodiac sign. I want you to match each statement with the zodiac sign and enter your answers in the comment box below. So the way that it works is you're going to pick a zodiac sign that does not understand this universal truth. The winner with the best, or in some cases, most funny response will get a shout out at the start of the next episode. Drop your answers in the comment box below. The monthly winner is later going to be selected from the 4 weekly winners, and that person is going to receive a healing crystal from styledunder.com. I'll be sure to cleanse it, set some positive intentions for you before I ship it to you. Or you will receive a painting that my daughter and I made. So the choice is really up to you. How exciting. Sending you love and light, and may the best person win.
Did you know that astrology can tell you who your enemies are? This is how you find out who your open enemies are in astrology.
Let's talk about open enemies in astrology. If you want to find out which zodiac sign is most likely to be an enemy of yours, you want to look at your 7th house. The 7th house in astrology rules business partnerships, long-term partnerships like marriage relationships. It rules contracts, it rules cooperation, and it also rules open enemies. So I've previously made a video about hidden enemies in astrology, which you can find from your 12th house. So when you do your full natal chart, whatever zodiac sign or planet is in your 12th house, whenever you meet people who have major signs from that house, sun, moon, or rising, you want to take notice. It doesn't always mean there's going to be some conflict there, but usually it's an indication that there might be. So in the case of the 7th house, when you meet somebody that's working in the positive, that partnership with that person, whether it's a romantic partnership like a marriage or a business partnership or any kind of contractual, legal partnership, that partnership should really enhance you and should really allow you to come more in alignment and to grow into the person that you're supposed to be. Now, if you meet somebody who has a zodiac sign that falls under your 7th house, and you notice that there's tension there, and you notice that there's competition there, and you notice that there isn't collaboration there, and that instead of there being love and them helping you to get in alignment or to grow and to blossom and to mature, that are actually hindering your growth, then you know that that person is not actually a supporter. They're actually an enemy, somebody that's envious of you or jealous of you, someone that hates you and does not want to see you do well. And you're going to know these things by the way these people relate to you. So when you meet somebody who has, let's say as an example, you have their zodiac sign, I'll pick Aries since that's the first sign in the wheel. So let's say you have Aries in your 7th house. So if you meet somebody whose sun sign is Aries, you're going to notice if that person is an enemy and not an actual friend or collaborator, that they're going to be attacking the essence of who you are. They're going to come for your ego. They're going to basically try to convince you that you're not who you say that you are. And that's kind of their way of projecting their insecurities onto you. So anyone that has their sun sign in your 7th house sign is going to be attacking your ego. If they happen to have their moon sign in your 7th house, these are people that are going to try to hurt your feelings. They're going to try to get an emotional reaction out of you because they want you to give them, negative emotional energy. They want you to feel small. They want you to feel emotionally impulsive and reactive. So if you meet somebody that has a moon sign and whatever zodiac sign is in your 7th house, just look out for that. The 7th house ruler is Libra, so those partnerships should feel harmonious, they should feel collaborative, and they should feel loving.
Now on to Saturn in 7th house, Sagittarius in 7th house, and what to expect when sister signs date in astrology.
Saturn in 7th, and the same thing with Neptune. Neptune is all about dreams, what's hidden. So usually those people also need to be paying attention to their intuition. What is your gut telling you about this person? Because usually your intuition will be revealing things to you. But if you choose to deny that, you can put yourself in a bad situation. All right, so that was an awesome question. Let me see who is next. Oh, Paula, thank you for being here. Thank you for being number one. I appreciate you. You're so consistent. I love that about you. Oh, and you happen to be a Libra too. Yeah, oh my goodness, Matt, that is tough. Well, you know what though, Matt? This is actually forcing you to get real because you know how Libra likes to like accommodate people? How Libra likes to, yeah, you have that good Taurus energy, Paula. I love that. I love your Taurus energy. You're like clockwork. And my Capricorn energy is just like, yes, give me more of it. You know, I love it. So I appreciate you being here. So Matt, yes, you know, I think the good thing about that placement, like, yes, it can feel like, oh my God, I'm so fucked. But really the good thing about that placement is that it's actually helping you get real because Libra likes to live in denial about people, you know? Libra likes to like see people for how they want to see them, but not like how they actually are. So Saturn in seventh is definitely going to cause you to get burned by people a lot if you don't learn your lesson. Like people will leave you devastated and in shreds with your hair on fire. Absolutely. If you don't have boundaries, if you don't understand how to like pace a connection, if you don't hold people accountable, if you don't communicate what your needs are, if you don't set standards and expectations, rules of engagement, if you don't continue to evaluate and assess, yeah, they will leave you in pieces. I promise you. If they haven't already, they will, because that's what Saturn in seventh brings. So the best thing you can do for yourself is use this to counteract Libra's denial and Libra's desire to avoid and escape by getting real. Because that's the thing about Capricorn energy. We're going to keep it real with you. Because Saturn does not give us a choice of make believe. We don't get to fake it. We don't get to pretend. We're held accountable when we do. We have to be exact. Saturn is precise. The beautiful lines around Saturn, what that looks like in a person is somebody that is about precision, somebody that is about truth, somebody that is about sincerity, somebody that is about what's real, what's concrete, what's stable. So it's not going to work if the relationship is grounded in make-believe, which Libra loves, but when it comes to your relationships, that's not going to work for you. Let it influence your art, not your life. So that is my take on that, Matt. I gave you a lot to think about. Hopefully you can chew on all of that moving forward. Hey, so Paula, you have Sagittarius in seventh house. Sagittarius in seventh house is somebody who needs to have a lot of diverse type of friends. Generally, when they're in partnership, they're going to be in partnership with people that are different from them. These people tend to want to associate with people from different languages, different cultures, different socioeconomic background, different sexuality. They're just into diversity. You know, they really value diversity. They really value, you know, the spice of life and they really value the colors of life. So they tend to socialize with people that are very different from them. And those people tend to be very open-minded. They also tend to be very curious about people. They tend to want to go on group trips with their friends. You know, trips to like faraway lands, places they've never been. Sagittarius in seventh is a good placement, but there's a lot of change in that energy. So this is not an energy where like your relationships or your connections with people are always going to be like the same. You know, a lot of people are going to come and go out of your life with their energies. And, you know, if you're working this energy in the right way, you're going to be open to that. You know, you meet somebody, you experience their energy, you experience the intensity of that, the passion of that, if it's a love situation. And then you let it go. And then you move on to the next person. So it's not like you're going to meet somebody and you're just going to put your claws in them and just hold on to them for dear life. So it's about diversity, it's about openness, it's about flexibility, fluidity. It's also about being non-committal. It's about being open to the experience itself, you know. It's not about like wanting to like keep it in the box. The more you try to hold on to people, especially in intimate relationships, the more damage you're going to create because that energy is definitely about being fluid and being loose. But with that being said, I would still be aware of my boundaries though, because if it's too fluid, it's too loose, if it's not feeding you emotionally and not giving you that kind of support and love that you need, then, you know, you might have to reassess that as well. Awesome. All right. So I'm glad that you like that. Let me see who is next. So Virgo and Pisces in astrology are what we call sister signs. So sister signs are opposites. That's just the way that they are, you know, kind of like you and your real life sister, if you happen to have one. You know, sometimes like with sisters, you can be exactly alike. And sometimes you can be just two sides of the same coin where you're related, but You're just very, very different. So in astrology, everybody has a sister. So Virgo sister is Pisces. Sagittarius sister is Gemini. So Libra's disposition is all about the other. Libra is all about relationships. Libra is all about connections. Libra is all about fairness. Libra is all about sharing information. Libra is all about extending kindness and love, wanting to connect with people, and wanting to make sure that other people find them to be pleasing. It's very important to Libra that they be liked by other people. All of their energy is outward, Like me, love me, I'm going to be nice to you. That should motivate you to want to. Matt is funny. He said he's waiting for the but. There's no but in this case. It's more the other side. So you can relax this time. That's funny. So all of Libra's energy is all about like me, love me. I'm going to do everything that I can so that you are pleased with me. So you find me pleasing. And I am hoping that in return of all the love that I give you, you give me, some love back the way that I'm giving it to you, right? So that's Libra's disposition. Aries energy is the opposite. As a sister sign, Aries says, please me, love me, give me what I want. So Aries is all about the self. In astrology, Aries is the first sign on the astrological wheel. Aries is the most self-centered zodiac sign because they are the infant of the zodiac. So Aries is all about the self. Everything Aries does is about the self. This is why they're big in competition, because they want to be the self. They're very self-involved in the sense that everything they do is about how do I meet my needs. And if it's not meeting Aries' needs, they have no problems trucking it and moving on, because in order to be a part of Aries' life, you have to bring something of value to Aries. Libra, on the other end, will come into your life to bring something of value to you. Do you see that? So on one hand, you have somebody that is very self-centered, worst case scenario, and very egotistical. And on the other hand, you have somebody that's all about denying themselves, pretending to not have any need, and very, very much so into becoming a slave for other people. So these are kind of the two extremes when they're being worked in the negative. So in astrology, when we talk about sister signs, we're talking about polarity in terms of their disposition. In the case of Virgo and Pisces, one thing they do have in common is delusion. And there's polarity with that level of delusion. Virgo is delusional about themselves and their own flaws. Virgo is obsessed with perfectionism because they don't want to be perceived to be flawed. They don't want to be perceived to be less than. Virgo is very anxious, when they're not healthy, of course, about being judged, being criticized, and being seen as somebody that is less than perfect. So it's really important to them to do everything that they can to appear to be perfect. So that's Virgo. And their delusion is that nobody's perfect. But Virgo doesn't know that. Virgo actually thinks they have to live up to this standard. They really believe that they're never enough. They're not good enough when they're working in the negative. And they're always aspiring for that level of perfection in their life, in everything that they do. And unfortunately for them, when they're working in the negative, if they're doing something that is less than perfect, Virgo will literally act like it's trash if it has any flaw whatsoever. So it's like they cannot enjoy anything that is natural and human because they're obsessed with this idea of perfection. So we have Virgo, right? Delusion is inward. They can't see their flaws. And oftentimes in the negative, especially with the man, this is when he shows up in the worst way. Virgo men are the very worst human beings to correct on this earth. Period. Virgo men really struggle with the hold of perfectionism, and they really struggle with seeing themselves clearly as a result of that. Oftentimes, they're not very good at accepting feedback. They're not good at listening to other ideas. They're not good at hearing when they've done something wrong. And a lot of times they will use other manipulative gaslighting ways to project their insecurities outward because they cannot accept it in themselves. Okay? So that's Virgo's obsession. So there's an obsession and there's a delusion. So we have that here. And then there's an analytical part of it too. Virgo's very smart, much like Pisces is very smart. So they share that in common. On the Pisces side, we have a genius that looks crazy. Pisces may look crazy, but they're actually the smartest person in the room. They don't care what you think about them. Pisces is the grandparent of the zodiac. They're very laissez-faire, very accepting of everybody, not judgmental, very loving. They have a huge heart, full of sensitivity, full of generosity, and their delusion is about others. Pisces tend to see the good in others. No matter what people are actually showing Pisces
Pisces always chooses to put the rose-colored glasses on and reframe the story, make it more magical, make it more beautiful, and make it more emotionally palatable for Pisces, because Pisces struggles with accepting negative emotions. You know, Pisces has a hard time seeing people's darkness and actually like letting that in their soul. It deeply hurts them to see people in a negative light. So instead of dealing with that discomfort, what Pisces does is they rewrite the story and make the story more beautiful, more colorful, more warm, more kind, more accepting than what it actually is. You know, kind of like a grandparent, you know, like I don't know if any of you have grandparents, but grandparents tend to think their grandchildren are like perfect, even though they're not. Sometimes they're a little bratty, but you know, grandma and grandpa think they're just like the best thing ever. So that's Pisces delusion. It's about others. They're very naive about the world, very naive about people. This is why they get used a lot. They get exploited in relationships a lot. And people come to them to dump all of their trash. A lot of times people bring them all of their emotional damage that they don't want to deal with. And they just like project that onto Pisces. Pisces is the number one zodiac sign that gets the most abused by everybody else for that reason. And most of it is due to Pisces' refusal to see people and situations exactly for what they are. So they invite that energy in essence. So both are smart, both are delusional, and both are analytical. Pisces is the most intuitive zodiac sign. They're actually the most gifted in terms of psychic abilities out of everybody. Pisces will literally have dreams about things before they happen. Talk to any Pisces that you know, they'll tell you this if they care to be open with you about what goes on in their psyche. Pisces, because they're a grandparent, they're an old soul. When you look at the zodiac world, they're the last one. They're an old soul. So they've lived the Aries life. They've lived the Cancer life. They've lived the Gemini life. They've lived all these lives. They're tired. They're grandparents. They're exhausted. They don't care anymore. They just want to be done with it. And unfortunately for them, they still have to be here on Earth. So they just begrudgingly go through the whole experience, right? And while they're doing that, they just don't want to get too worked up because they're exhausted. Physically, emotionally exhausted by the whole human ride. So a lot of times Pisces just avoids. They avoid reality most of the time. They avoid problems. They avoid everything that causes any kind of discomfort, right? So even though they're ruled by Neptune, which is the planet of the underworld, this is the planet of dreams and psychic energy, even though they have the most psychic abilities, they have the most psychic intuition, they always know what's going on with people, they choose to pretend. See, that's the key thing here. It's a choice. They choose to pretend to not know. This is why Cancer actually ends up being the most intuitive of the zodiac signs, because Cancer does not live in denial about reality like Pisces does. Pisces has the best tool, but Pisces does not use their tool. Cancer doesn't necessarily have the best tool, but Cancer always trusts their tool. That is the difference. So, Virgo, analytical, smart, refuses to see themselves for who they are in relationships with other people. Pisces, analytical, smart, refuses to see themselves for who they are in relationship with people. But both of them have excellent instincts when it comes to people. So that is the Pisces-Virgo dynamic. If you are a Pisces, a way to grow spiritually is for you to surround yourself with Virgos, because you need to acquire some of Virgo skills to actually become somebody who's better at protecting yourself. Virgo may struggle with seeing flaws in themselves, but they're excellent with seeing the flaws in others. Virgo is never in denial about the ways in which other people are less than perfect. And Pisces could stand to learn those skills, because oftentimes Pisces' refusal to see other people for who they are ends up creating more emotional damage in their fragile heart. And Virgo, on the other hand, could learn from Pisces to be a little bit more spiritual, meaning that, not everything has to be like something that is overanalyzed a million times. Sometimes you can just go with the flow and see where things take you. Everything doesn't have to be pre-coordinated ahead of time. Everything doesn't have to be like a machine. Sometimes you can just let the vibe take you, because at the end of the day, the universe is still in charge and destiny is still going to take place. So sometimes you can just relax. You can just relax a little bit in the knowledge that, you know what, if you were to drop dead tomorrow, like the sun is still going to shine. So the world is not going to stop spinning. So you might as well just relax and enjoy the ride.
So that's what Virgo can learn from Pisces, and just trust the process a little more. You know, like, you don't have to have all the answers. It's okay. Nobody does. That's the thing. We're all are just learning as we go. Okay?
Let's wrap up today's class by talking about the fixed signs in astrology. These are my favorite qualities in astrology. Here are some of the things I love about them.
You guys are actually my favorites. Don't tell the other ones. And maybe that's why I was so hard on you. But here are some of the things that I love about you. You guys are loyal. You're consistent. You're reliable. You're patient. You're brave. You're meticulous. You're driven. You're the most hardworking out of the entire zodiac. You're independent. You're excellent at follow through. And the reason for that is because you come after the cardinals. So the cardinals are the babies. They come up with the ideas. They're the idea generators. And you guys are the ones that get to work and get it done. If it wasn't for you guys, nothing will get done because you're the only ones that actually stick to the plan. You're the project managers, the ultimate project managers. You are tuned in to what it is that you're working on, whether it's a relationship, whether it's work, whether it's parenting. You guys exceed at everything that you put your mind to because you don't have any quit in you. No matter what's going on, no matter what obstacles you go through, you're never fazed by any of it because you know at the end of the day, if you stay the course, you're going to get to where you're trying to go. And this is why you succeed in life. Because you come after the cardinals, so they come up with the idea, but they don't have the drive to get it done. Because you guys have the drive to get it done because you're in the middle. You're the ones that are here to help us stick to the plan. You stick to traditions. You're here to help us focus on preserving our passion, our desires, our goals, our focus, our achievements. You guys are big on responsibility, big on sticking to what you know, big on focusing on what you're working on. If it wasn't for you guys, honestly, we would all be lost because coming up with the idea is very different from doing the work.
If you like this video, please like, comment, and subscribe, and head over to stylegender.com for your sustainable fashion accessories and healing crystals.